Bill, you know the movie Groundhog Day, right? With Bill Murray, Andy McDowell. It's a celebration of a holiday that we don't even really know why we celebrate it. Can you figure out why we do this Groundhog Day thing? I don't get it.
No, I never pay attention. By the way, if on my show that bumper music got on the air, somebody's fired that day. Okay?
Maddie, take notes.
We've only pplayed it 5 times.
I mean, we haven't overplayed it at all.
Maddie, I don't think
that is not the perception I want for the audience.
Maddie, you're not going to be working at Nashville Sports Radio anytime soon. So
I'll mark that off my list.
Maybe he can get a job as an offensive coordinator at Auburn, Bill. What do you think? What is going on at Auburn University? I mean, you could look at a team's record for how a coach did in a first season, but then you could also look to the month after that first season is over, and almost 20 players are in the transfer portal, and your coaching staff is in complete shambles. And I just wonder how they're thinking about Bryan Harsin right now in that program.
We talked about it this morning. Let me put things in perspective. You've got 2 enemies at Auburn. You got Alabama, you got Georgia. And you got other games that are important, but those are your 2 enemies. So you compare with Alabama and Georgia, you're getting routed in the acquisition of personnel. And it's widening. It's not tightening. And I thought the Bryan Harsin hire was a little awkward. Not that I don't think he's a good coach in certain spots, but not there. Mm-hmm. And I don't think this, whenever it ends, and he's only coached 1 year there, I understand, but I don't think whenever this ends in a couple of years, maybe if it unravels next year, it's not going to be a pretty ending.
Well, I just can't imagine it being very pretty for them next year. If you mentioned Alabama and Georgia. So those are 2 teams Auburn's going to play every year. Just look at what else is happening in the SEC West, where Arkansas is rising. Ole Miss has already rose. LSU, they've got a guy who's coached in the college football playoff, and they got really good players that have transferred into the program. A&M has this great recruiting class. Auburn's going in the other direction, man. I can't think of another team that's going in that much of a dropping direction in this division. And if you get stuck at the bottom of this division, we saw Arkansas stuck there for a few years, man. You can get stuck there for a long time.
Yeah, because nobody's going to give you their seat. You're in big trouble when you start getting behind. And Ole Miss is bringing in Jackson Dart and a really good tight end from that same school. They're bringing in Zach Evans, the running back out of TCU, who 2 years ago was the number 1 ranked running back in recruiting, 5-star. We can go on and on and on. They're behind, and I don't have a lot of faith now. Basketball program's in good shape. Maybe you should go down the hall a little bit and talk to my boy Bruce and see how he does.
Maybe you should, because he's obviously got it figured out. Just got the lifelong contract, and somebody who you thought had it figured out finally in college football. And you talk about giving up a seat, a team that just got their seat as far as being back into maybe the upper echelons of college football in Michigan. Jim Harbaugh to the Vikings. How big of a hit does Michigan take from that? Now finally being able to get over the Ohio State mountain that they've been climbing for a decade, and now they just feel like it's all sliding back down if Harbaugh goes to Minnesota.
Well, it depends. And I just see these random lists like you do. If a Matt Rule wants to come, I think you could argue that'd be an upgrade. Mm-hmm. It depends. Now, if they hired on the staff and Mike Hart's the running back coach, they elevate him because he's a Michigan guy. I just don't know. What if they take Josh Gaddis, who's done a good job as the offensive coordinator? They give it to him. I don't know. You hear Luke Fickell. Luke Fickell's a Buckeye. Luke Fickell would only take the Ohio State job again or the Notre Dame job. He wouldn't take the Michigan job. I'd be shocked, and I see him on all these lists. I'm telling you, that group right there, they're very territorial. And Luke Fickell I don't think would entertain that. I think he would sit back and wait.
Yeah, I don't think he would either. He just seems like if he wanted to take another job and wasn't waiting on that, then he probably would have by now, or at least his name would have been connected to more jobs other than him just staying at Cincinnati. One thing that's been weird far as the portal gets weird, and there's some strange things, and the weirdest one that I can remember this year was Caleb Williams to Wisconsin, and then ultimately he decided to go exactly where we all knew he was going. What was the whole situation with him leading Wisconsin on and then ultimately picking Lincoln Riley, like 99.9% of people that follow college football could have called a month ago?
I don't know. Here's my question. I understand if you're a player now, like coaches, things get floated that you want floated, rumors. You want that out there, right? And then you hide and you act like you don't even know what's going on. But you wouldn't float Wisconsin, right? I mean, That's not the one you would float. Now, and Wisconsin's a good program. I'm not suggesting otherwise, but that fit just doesn't seem logical. And I would assume this probably was him. Number one, nobody's got more power in the transfer portal than Caleb Williams. And you're not under any threat to hurry up. You can take another 3 months if you feel like it. And he's probably waiting on the goodies. What's my deal? And that's legal. I don't blame him. But, yeah, the so-called twists and turns were a little odd. I didn't really buy into many of them, though.
I have some people that were, I saw in friends of mine, like, why did he leave Oklahoma? You'd never have to buy a drink ever again. There's all these business opportunities. Like, the guy wanted to play for a certain coach, and he's following that guy, that coach. I mean, sometimes that's really what it boils down to. A kid's not worried about the kind of money he's going to make in this place or that. He wants to play for a specific coach. And if you're a quarterback, man, I mean, Lincoln Riley is kind of, a good guy to play for. So it made sense.
You're going to get your stat sheet if you're Lincoln Riley's QB, right? Nobody's going to be afforded the full stat sheet than the quarterback for Lincoln Riley. Can't make a better decision. Now, are they going to play any defense out there? Who knows? But if you're the QB, you make a good decision.
So it's National Signing Day, Bill.
Where are all the hat dances? I haven't seen a single one on Twitter today.
This used to be a much different day, especially for you. I know you've. Did you have commitments this week? Was that something that you? I know you were doing it this month. Was that this week?
It's like Mardi Gras. It's tonight and tomorrow.
Okay. So how do you celebrate something that is as dull right now as National Signing Day is? We
don't. We drink beer and we just mingle in the Bill King suite. And then the next day, we do a 5-hour show tomorrow, and we don't hardly even mention a recruit. Seriously, I mean, the early period just wiped this out. And they talk about, there's a couple of Harold Perkins, names like that, but there's not a whole lot left out there. And they are seriously discussing getting rid of that 72-hour window in December. I don't know if they actually do it, but there is momentum for that, which will repopularize the February signing period if they go back to that date. But no, guys, I don't waste my time on it. I mean, the water's under the bridge. The hay's in the barn. There's really nothing to discuss. And going on a show and regurgitating everything that we've already known is useless.
You just kind of like being nostalgic about it, I guess. It comes right down to it. Hey, I wanted to make sure I asked about – we got into this yesterday. You might have seen Nicole Auerbach's piece in The Athletic about she'd spoken to David Shaw, who runs the National Organization of Football Officials, and he said that believes that near the top of the list for the NCAA Football Rules Committee meeting March 2nd is, and he used the term fining injuries. We know it as faking injuries. All of us here in Arkansas call it Ole Miss football. So, and we're just kind of wondering how do you figure out what's a fake injury and what's not, while paying proper, respect to some kid who's lying on the ground and might actually be injured. But I'm happy that they're actually going to talk about this at least. I'm just not sure the direction that you can go with a rule.
Totally agree. You kid laying there, my knee is killing me. I don't believe you. Get up. I mean, what are you supposed to do? You can't. Some have suggested making every injury, real or fake, one where the player has to sit out a down or a series or what. Heck, I don't know. But then I guess you would just put implants to fake it. I really don't know what the fair solution is. Frankly, guys, and I know it makes the fans mad and media, et cetera, somewhat. I think it's hilarious. When I go to a Twitter feed and I see some guy standing there, and then all of a sudden he just falls out of nowhere. To me, that's funny. I don't take it personally. And the other thing I find hilarious is all these fan bases acting like they would never do it. You know, their team would never resort to that if their defense is getting gassed. It's only the bad guys that would do it. It's kind of like cheating. We never do that here.
It basically is the same thing. Everybody's like, how dare they stoop so low and get this hoity-toity attitude about themselves. But as soon as their team gets caught doing something like that, they're like, well, you know, you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Am I right, buddy? So it is weird in that circumstances. People always think that what they do is fine, but if somebody else does it, then that's just out of the question. But Bill,
hey guys, I find it funny. A guy just finishes a play, defensive player, he's standing there. 5 seconds, 6 seconds, and all of a sudden he just grabs his hamstring. Like that hamstring just tore right there while you're standing still. That's funny.
It's a sniper.
Yeah.
Obviously a sniper.
Nice sniper. But staying with that's faking injury has kind of been following Lane Kiffin and at Ole Miss. What were your takes on his takes on NIL yesterday? And, you know, I know he was joking, but it kind of felt like there was some serious about it, possibly with NIL and the salary cap with how much A&M paid for their recruiting class. Do we need some type of cap? Or I mean, what was your take on his comments yesterday?
I mean, the whole thing makes me sick. To move closer and closer to the pro model just makes me physically ill. But that's where we're at. And I think you have to. You have to have some specific rules that place limits. Or A&M, if Texas wants to, Texas got as much money as anybody on the planet. They just got, by the way, a $20 million donation from Tito's Vodka. Alabama can, you know, whatever Nick wants, he can get, whether it's transfer portal or NIL money for the kids. So either we've always had an arms race, guys, whether it's facilities or what have you. But now it's literally a money race for the players. That's where we're at.
Well, I'll tell you where I'm at right now. You just broke my heart because Tito's is my favorite vodka, and if they're giving $20 million to Texas Athletics, I'm going to have to,
can't buy Tito's anymore.
Find another one. From one, but preferably is made up in Northwest Arkansas. See what's happening now? NIL's making me change my vodka brand, for crying out loud. I just can't deal with it.
Tito's located in Austin. Yes, $20 million.
I knew what I was doing when I bought it the first time.
There might be less football being played, but BetOnline has way more stuff to bet on this playoff season. From scored, totals, player performance props, to where the next fired coach is going to land, BetOnline is the #1 spot for all things NFL betting in 2022. And with the new year comes a new updated desktop and mobile website. Sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE to get started. That's BLEAV. And it's not just football. BetOnline's basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC odds coverage is the best in the business. From sports right down to your favorite Vegas casino games, BetOnline is your #1 online wagering destination. BetOnline, the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports and play your favorite games. BetOnline, where the game starts.